back to another episode of Debt Nation, where we are busy putting death out of business. I'm your host, Steele Archer, and we have a great guest here today. It's Alexandria Black. We all remember her. She's been on the show a few times, but this is her second solo appearance where we're going to talk about COVID-19 and a bunch of social considerations concerning COVID-19. But before we rock into this episode of Debt Nation, firstly, I would like to thank our sponsor, that is Thrivous. Thank you very much, Thrivous. You know the rules. If you want to get some Thrivous, you throw the link around, you say thanks Thrivous, and you're going to go from $5 all the way up to $160. The rules are in the description. Get yourself some Thrivous. That's free geoprotectors and nootropics, all for you, the dear audience. So do make sure you get onto that and you do that. Also, I want to thank I Am Transhuman, David Kelly, doing a great job, as always. Thanks, David Kelly. Lots and lots of new posts on that page every day, so make sure you go and check that out. And I am trying to get Denora Delphine to give me her stuff so I can promote her Mortalist magazine, which is a fantastic magazine doing great work. All right, Alexandra Black, it's good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, Bean. Hey, Bean. It's all crazy since we last talked. It's not AI crazy. It's COVID crazy. How are you going?
Yeah, I wish we could use more of that AI to fix that COVID, but we're not really focused on AI today, except in such applications.
No, everyone remembers you from the AI episode. So you wanted to talk about the community response, this open source projects. The community is trying to rally to the cause. What news do you bring me, Alexandra Black, from the deep, dark internet?
That many of us are fighting very hard to have sensible approaches to this, to identify helpful information, helpful projects, such as it's in the links. Thanks for putting that there. The open source,
yes, it is in the links. Yes.
Medical hardware project, whatever it was, and some other information sharing groups that are sharing not just your neighbor's tips and none of that, but solid science and collaborations to help. Now, many of these groups, even some groups I'm in and one of my own groups, if I try to search the name of that group, no, at the top, Facebook wants to show you where you should go for your COVID information. And they're going to downregulate what you're actually looking for. Not the first application of this kind of thing I've seen around here, but in particular, unless you save that bookmark yourself, they're going to put you through all kind of hoops to get back to where you want to go to post your link, say, or find that group again.
So you saying that
university educators I know and scientists are being hindered from sharing information because it contradicts the government's narrative.
Yeah, I mean but Facebook is a private company, and this is the big topic that we've had all through from 2016. Well, since Facebook's inception, but especially since Trump in 2016. Is Facebook a publisher? Are they a distributor? What are they? And do they have rights to suppress information? Do they have a right to put information on their platform that they don't want to? It depends where you fall in on that debate. And we are talking about a public health crisis where there is a lot of misinformation and fake information going around. And how does Facebook know without a verification scheme about who the scientists are, these professors are, for example? So have you got any comments on all of that?
The science communities review these things. We have peer review in real time, and we are being hindered from these kind of efforts. That why would you ban academic links and let politicians and anecdotal stuff float in the news, except you're trying to support a narrative, and science contradicts it. Don't confuse me with the facts. My mind's made up.
The science that you're talking about, what's the contradictory information that you're talking about? Because I'm not sure what this is. I mean, you obviously used to follow this COVID-19 a lot closer than I do. So what's the politician saying, and what's the contradictory information that you're finding and you're frustrated with?
Well, I wish I could get people like Dr. Michael Rose or Dr. Logan Thrasher or any number of academics I know that say my solid science is getting blocked. And I've seen how Facebook is dealing with collaborative groups that are coming up with things, and it's like they don't want us to fill that supply chain because then we won't die quick enough.
But I mean, isn't this just an argument that we should have already migrated away from Facebook and some of these mega platforms, including Twitter, and we should have already migrated away? And why are we still all on Facebook complaining about Facebook? Why isn't there a mass movement away from Facebook? Is it because they're a monopoly and there's no alternatives? Is it because people are very lazy and they won't move over? Is it because there's no coordinated effort? Is it because
I've tried alternate platforms and not had near the reach that I do here. So I have to put up with this. I can't jump to a lifeboat dinghy because I'm not in as big a ship, even if it's leaky.
So what do we do forward? Because, okay, putting COVID-19 aside, I mean, where do people go from here? If they're going to be suppressed, the next time any of these existential risks come up or these problems come up, don't you expect in the future that Facebook will just do the same thing? What's the solution to that? Alternative platforms like Gab, for example, or I don't know. What do we do? I mean, if this is going to be the standard procedure, what should humans do if they want to collaborate and they want to participate in finding solutions, but not on these platforms?
I don't know. I'd like to see a good list. Is WSPD Social working better now? Is MeWe? We can't even post Minds.com links on Facebook anymore. They very much control the narrative through a lot of censorship by program breakage.
But what is the narrative, Alexandra Black? Because if Facebook blocks Minds, I mean, from a commercial competitive standpoint, Minds is a competitor, to Facebook in the social media space. So why wouldn't they block that anyway? Because they wouldn't want people opening up a Minds account. I mean, there's other ways to see this.
Because it's a violation of free speech.
But is it really?
I can. I don't know. I just don't like to see things that monopolized.
Well, this is the big debate, and I totally agree with you here. I'm just saying that there's a big problem here with these big social media platforms and the inability of the users to migrate off these platforms and consolidate on other platforms. So that is a problem in itself.
Why can't I take my, how many years I've been here? 11 years of history here and import it into Mindset? It's not my data.
Well,
Speaking of my data, I want to talk about my data. We'll get into that later.
We all know that with
world.
Facebook.
And what data rights do I have once I'm a popsicle? And do I even get to be a popsicle and maybe get a reboot? But we'll cover that later.
Yeah, that's a big problem with these big platforms because, you do basically give your data away for free and they use it to sell to advertising and they use it to spy on you and all that sort of stuff. And everybody kind of knows that. Whereas with Minds, you get paid for your data, for example, so, yeah, who owns your data? CIA?
There are hands in Facebook, state actors, non-state actors. It's a mess.
So it's because it's part of the larger PRISM project and these related projects of PRISM. I mean, they're you know what I mean?
And now we're all at home. And glad we're not getting sick. So it's kind of bad when they make you want a little bit of authority.
Yeah.
That is the slippery slope. When you just want to live, you know?
Yeah.
And you know you've been tricked, and what the fuck do you do?
Yeah. So, what is the narrative? Do you think what's actually going on with COVID-19 that you would like to get out there that you think is being suppressed or is legitimately being suppressed or whatever? What's the big deal? I don't understand.
Stay the fuck home and lock down now.
But isn't that what all the governments are doing anyway? So why is that a secret?
No, we're leaving people out there to be cold. We're all running to high land and waiting for the tsunami and hoping that, hoping God things will be better. That's a sledgehammer solution, and I hate those.
What's
and I hear this is just the first round of a lot of nonsense. Now, Daniel Schmachtenberger just said this so much better than I could like 3 or 4 days ago. It's in the links, that Rebel Wisdom link down there. And what else? Anyway, the open source projects I mentioned, I believe you also put those in the link. You know, the projects that are going outside of authority to save our asses because we don't trust them to have enough ventilator parts, to have enough masks. The public is now striving to fill these needs because we know our supply chain is fine. And let's get back to James Jones' self-sufficiency projects, CubeSpawn, and how we were, let's start with Standard Oil not letting us make our own tractor fuel, and how we all got dragged into the industrial system when we used to be more self-sufficient about over a century ago. That's beside the point. But I think we're back to that point of planting our gardens, trying to get us CubeSpawn together, because we got to. This is the judgment on us. Can we cover our own asses, or are we just? I don't mean to make it sick. It's not like everyone can. I'm not trying to make it Darwinistic, but I'm saying collectively, if we don't fight to survive, we may not.
Well, you know, this is why I'm a big supporter of Robert Lighthizer, you know, the biggest guy in Washington who's known by nobody, you know, who initiated pretty much the tariff wars with China. Because at that time, in 2016, Robert Lighthizer, you know, going gung-ho on the tariff wars actually makes a lot of sense, because it depleted trade between China and the United States through tariffs, which forced producers and suppliers to reach tool and resource. And, you know, thank goodness for the United States that the trade wars were initiated by Trump and Lighthizer early on, because if they weren't, there would be a lot more pain now, because, you know, over since 2016, since the trade wars began in 2016, 2017, you've had producers moving away from China little bit by little bit by little bit. And so, you know, this has actually been a lifesaver for the United States in a way. Nothing on the scale of James Jones and CubeSpawn, obviously, which his logo sits down here on the on my supporters list. I love the guy. The guy's a freaking genius. But on a national level, yeah, absolutely. Go Robert Lighthizer. The guy's also a genius. The U.S. Trade Representative. You know, for strengthening local supply chains through a very slow process called tariffs, which is now letting China expand into a form of weakness, while the United States will have to slowly pick up the pieces. You know, so I see some benefits from the U.S. trying to trade war in terms of local supply chain options.
Wasn't always going to be about economic arm wrestling so we can have the biggest war toys and create more force upon the world and more slavery.
Well, it's
Why
just
isn't it about fulfilling everyone's needs so that who knows what beautiful thing they might create for us?
yeah,
Why don't we
and
have
that's
an economy more like that rewards collaboration, that rewards pro-social behaviors, and when we see antisocial behaviors, instead of just punishing, let's learn to fix that. Let's see what made them do that. How far back does that go? How do you heal that? How do you get somebody less living in their amygdala and more in the front of their head?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, it's just the way the world's been set up. I didn't invent it, and so switching around the incentive structure for humans is incredibly hard. And the '80s was built off this notion of greed is good, and we've come to the end of that idea that greed is good, and now we're living in the aftermath of that line, that lingo, right? That lingo is dead. And I agree with you. There should be more cooperation. There should be more social justice. There should be more, justice in most areas of the political, socio-political scene. Totally agree. How do you get to that? That's a completely different argument. Part of the argument is what you were talking about before with Facebook suppressing these community response initiatives that have been trying to set up, because Facebook is actually supposedly set up on the grounds of community expression and community collaboration. But as you see, when you get a monopoly on information, the powers that be, whoever that is, can manipulate the dynamics of that system to something else. So how do you do that on a national level? That's another completely big question. So tell us more about this Schuttenberger video interview that you linked. The link is in the description. If you've got anything to tell us about that, what is that all about? What does he tell you there? What's the secrets?
Okay, one point first.
Yep.
How do we arise after we've been asset stripped? Our dignity's been stripped. Our hopes have been filled with addictions and mass trances. Okay, let's stop there on that one. Even though some of us do try to pull together, and so many of us are just still not helping. They say it only takes about 4 or 5% of us, but with a sledgehammer on us, they're going to knock us down. We get there. Someday it seems. I don't have the hubris to say that we will win, but we will not stop trying. Okay, back to Schmottenberger. Oh, God, he covered everything, including all the insane stuff that we're doing that is making this COVID thing worse. Okay? What society looks like afterwards, and some of the ripple effects, like having it very, very hard times restoring the things once they broke, like supply chains, electrical grids, all the infrastructures that have been stripped, and they let our bridges fall down and everything else. So good luck. They left a few pints low before they kicked us. Okay? This looks like a colon to me. Go look at the Georgia Guidestones. Of course it is.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of an interesting. That's kind of an interesting idea. Population down to 500 million people. All these 7 different languages. In harmony with nature. The Georgia Guidestones are kind of interesting. I don't know what the deal with those are. I don't know what's with these Georgian people. You can go on and on. I mean, what's up with the Delaware airport? What's up with the Delaware airport and their murals?
Disappeared overnight. They made it elsewhere, installed it, gone. and some shell people. So we don't really know who owned the land even. We still don't know. Like 40 years later, so 40 years later, yep. 1980 was the weird year that we started seeing that everything coming through whatever lens of time. But, yeah. But anyway, Schmachtenberger. Okay, he gets into the, and all the disruptions, including wars. He tells you exactly how the horsemen might be rolling out, and unless we, get smart and get quick, fuck knows if we make it.
So, do you think that we're in the end of days? Do you think this is the end of days, biblically speaking?
Yeah, but I kind of think they made it to look like the four horsemen, didn't they? Just to mess with our heads.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would make sense in the United States, considering the religious demographic of the United States. Those people seem pretty primed for that sort of thing. And if you're a conspiracy theorist, you could roll it in with HARP and a Project Bluebeam, and you could see the horses coming, and wow, it could have you could have a big time with it. I mean, if you're a part of the Illuminati or something, I mean, it's great fun. But if you're on the outside, not so much fun, right?
Well, the thing about wild tales is they will often put the truth out in plain sight, but mix it with so much bullshit you won't believe it. And it's hard to put out that kernel of truth.
Yeah, so truth is always suppressed in times of chaos, because chaos compounds on chaos, and the other thing is the strategy of any government is to sow disinformation. Right. If you sow disinformation, then you keep the population scared, you keep it suppressed, you keep it tame, you keep the people domesticated, and it's easier to control. And that's how you keep everything in line in a time of chaos. You won't get so much social upheaval. If everyone's social distancing and stuff. There is a huge problem out there with this COVID-19. I mean, obviously people die and stuff, but if you have a sort of issues of this scale and enormity that we're talking about, I mean, you want to compound this so that you can manage this sort of predicament if you're a government, right?
Kristen Conklin could tell you from her digging in the CIA files that, never mind once you get past the redactions, that those papers can all often be peppered with a lot of bullshit just so you won't believe it. And it's hard to discern the bit of truth in there. And maybe because she's been reading these files while she has a better sense of that. But never mind that. But
yeah, well, you're right. And also remember that she said that they're full of cryptonyms, so it's very hard to discern what paper is actually linked to what and where it is and all that. So the cryptonyms will make it hard as well. And you got to turn it upside down and lick it and put it in secret ink, and you can do all that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Not watching that other window anyway, but okay. I'm not sure I fully answered.
Any more on this Schmachtenberger video? Anything else you want to tell us about his wisdom, or what you want to say about that? Any more?
He's got so much more sense than we do. He's a sense maker. He's out of that Santa Fe Institute, and they've done great work. And I think they're also working to unravel COVID.
The whole world is trying to unravel COVID. There's community initiatives like Flip It, where you can go on and play games to try and do the protein stuff and work out how to defeat COVID-19. It's interesting. There are, there's a wide variety of initiatives that are out there. What Trump wants to halt 15-day isolation. Why?
Yeah, I just heard about that from the. This is insanity. If you watch the Schmachtenberger video, he'll tell you exactly why we've got to have lockdown right now.
Okay.
Yes. This will just climb up the exponential curve. Our hospital systems will be shot. Never mind if you had a heart attack that day. You're an indirect casualty of that. Anybody else who needs the healthcare system, you're fucked.
Yep.
So
well, this is why
everyone do what they can, not just plant their victory garden and make masks, but just help us all survive.
This is why we advocate for the United States Transhumanist-Party in the fact that they would not have ever allowed for there to be an underfunding or a shortage of hospitals, because they would double up as research facilities, as Chairman Gennady said, during the good times. So when the demand falls for patients, you would switch those hospital staff over to researchers, and they could research other aging predicaments within demographics. For example, Chairman Gennady chose 50,000 to be that population demographic. So this is just an unfortunate consequence of ill consideration by Washington and by our national governments around the world, and underpreparedness and a lack of investment in hospital infrastructure. That's what happens. So now that they have to pick and choose, like look at Italy or look at Iran or look what happened in China. It's disgusting what's happening there, and it's scary, and nobody wants that to happen anywhere else. But you can't prepare now. It's too late. I mean, it's even getting onto naval vessels out in the middle of nowhere. So this is disturbing. This is a lack of preparation. It's a lack of foresight from national governments. And, that's why we advocate for the United States Transhumanist-Party, so this sort of stuff won't happen again in the future. But until then, we are stuck with the system that we have, unfortunately. And it's a system that suppresses people like James Jones from CubeSpawn, who could rescue us from supply chains problems. It suppresses us from a lot of the innovative solutions and technologies, and a lot through the patent system, which we can't even access or we don't even know, because they're just bought up by these big corporates or by these oligarchs who suppress it to keep commercial money-making functions that are of higher yield in motion.
We will use every patent we need. We will open source it to survive. And if Samaritan laws don't laugh them out of court, we know exactly what kind of society we live in. Fascist.
Yeah, it is. It leans towards a fascist sort of society, absolutely, run by oligarchs and charlatans. So I totally agree with that. Your plight. Let's talk about your plight. You're running out of goods and services in your local area, something like that?
Okay, yeah. My mom is 89. I'm glad she's getting stronger. She broke her hip on New Year's Eve, and now we can hardly keep up with her. She doesn't know why she's walking up and down the hall now. But I got a babysitter watching her right now, or I could not do this show right now. But because
we thank you very much for taking the time out, Alexandra Black. It's an honor.
I have to thank my house guest, Stephen, who is watching her now, or I would not be able to do this. And obviously, if my time is such that I can't go get a job and haven't been able to for some years. So under McConnell's plan, because I've not filed any taxes, zero relief check for me. He considers me a non-person. I might as well go die. I've been trying to collect Social Security. I've got some obstacles to that. We don't have enough food for the end of the month, and we don't have enough money to get that food. Even if we have access to that food, could get to the store. And the shelves aren't wrapped. I go in mask and gloves. Like every time I walk into a store now, because I'm taking, I've social isolated a week or two now because I can't expose her to anything. Never mind, I'm over 62 also. So, not only am I taking a chance with my own health, but, all I do, and I am considered a non-member, a non-contributor to society. Doesn't care how much internet credit I got. It doesn't amount to 1%. Okay. So McConnell would just let me perish. Okay.
Whoa. Okay. That's Mitch McConnell, eh? So yeah. Okay. That's
everyone
tough.
in my house. Everyone in my house goes outside the system. Maybe not Mom. We filed taxes on her last year. So, but the rest of us are screwed. Okay? Meritocracy under oligarchy only rewards what serves it. This is, for example, why housewives and mothers get to work for free. Or they have to be in a partnership. Okay. This is why people like me that just do what they can for people. Connect them with information, like-minded people, just whatever I write. I'm unpaid as a writer, an artist, a community glue, whatever I am. They say an omega is an alpha that makes more alphas. They called me that one time. I'm not going to call them out. But what else? Running out of food, supplies, money. Never mind how much toilet paper and tissues Mom goes through. We're fucked when she runs out of diapers. We are fucked when she runs out of prescriptions. So I'm glad she's getting stronger now, but she's still not cognitively there. And
have you got a donations
down the halls looking for people or something?
Have you got a donations page?
Huh?
Have you got a donations page or something?
That didn't do me any good when I was starving in Bear Lane. Why should it do me any good now?
Well, I don't know. Maybe we could try and help you somehow.
Anyway, the system we live under that doesn't monetarily reward really much of human values and only rewards the oligarchy's values, the bankers, the military-industrial prison complex. It's all
trickle down, not trickle up.
Huh?
It's all trickle down, not trickle up.
We know that doesn't work. Fuck Reagan. Anyway, it lets voluntarists perish. Everywhere from the mothers to the collaboratist. Okay? Now, what I wonder if McConnell's plan to means test our merits to survive are sort of a sneaky social credit system, which behooves the question, did the people that didn't have a good social credit, were they put at the bottom of the triage list to survive?
Is this in China?
How many of the dead in China were on that list?
Yeah, this is a really, really interesting question, and I thank you for this this thought. Yes, and this is something I lined up with Rachel Haywire very strongly on her advocacy on the USTP campaign when she stood up very strongly against China's social credit system. I do not like this idea about a social credit system, because it can leave you in a predicament. I mean, if you buy alcohol, your score goes down. I mean, but you can't value or judge why someone would buy alcohol, for example. There's a whole range of things, that it does that suppresses individual thought, action, freedom of movement, and it pretty much everything that's in the United States Constitution. So I like this a lot. And if there is a pseudo credit system, social credit system, edging its way into the United States, then that's a violation of the Constitution, your constitutional rights.
Yes, it is. And I was thinking it harkens to that Black Mirror episode. But to what degree do we already have a sneaky social credit system now? Through the tax structure and such.
Your money in your bank essentially is a sneaky social credit system as well. And I think this COVID-19 idea is really exemplifying the classist structure of the United States. Who lives and who dies, who gets tested and who doesn't, who can survive, who can pay rent, who doesn't, who's black, who's white, who's Asian. It's really, it's the divider in chief in a way, this COVID-19 thing. And it's really exposing the United States for what it is. Everyone felt kind of all smushy when Obama was saying, it's not a black America, it's not a white America, it's a United States of America. And that veil, that obfuscation of what America is, it held together for a while. And, it was the fringes of society that were protesting and saying, no, we're left out, no, we're left out. And that was okay until COVID-19 came and it exposed the whole charade. And now the system is laid bare for everybody to see. And it really shows you who actually cares in this system and who doesn't. And it's disgusting because, America is better than this. America is the richest country in the history of the planet. There is no richer country, and yet they're not. They don't care about their human capital. They don't care about their citizens.
We're cattle to them. We're here to asset strip, and think how many more people they get to asset strip so quickly now that we have this. Okay.
Yeah. That's this building right behind me here. That's why this is here, because this is the big move. This is the big play. It's just gobbling up everything in sight.
Oh, we have Georgia to blame for that, too. Well, at least that was the venue where the Fed started on Jekyll Island, Georgia. And we have the guides here. And why is Georgia so weird?
Yeah, Georgia Guidestones, Fed, Jekyll Island, it's interesting. I thought Jekyll Island, anyway. Oh, yeah, Georgia, maybe, yeah. So let's talk about transhumanist rights. What did you want to say about transhumanist rights? Because those sound really good right now.
Well, oh, God, a month or two ago. Oh, yes, on Valentine's Day. And I'm so glad that my times at, twice within a week at ER were before this thing hit. In fact, I was telling them they're on Valentine's Day on a stretcher in the hall. Oh, my sister had showed up, and I was telling her, because I was one of the first ones to know that the 11 quarantine sites, 2 of them are right around here. One's about a 10-minute away drive to a base, and the other one's down at the airport. And we got the CDC here, and never mind, we just got people dying in our hospitals. How many have we had? I better check today's stats. Maybe 6 people in my county, or was it? I forgot. But anyway, check out the Georgia stats for today. I haven't looked today, but yes. But, and we have a big migrant population in the county. And it's just been, counties and cities closing things more than the state or the federal level. If you listen to Schmockenberger, he'll say, we got a federal lockdown right now, or this thing's going to get away from us and we'll never catch up. It's going to break us. It'll break our hospitals. It'll break our economy. And we got, you asked me about Trump's at the 15 days. No, he's thinking more about, how can we make more money in 2 weeks? Fuck the people. Never mind, there's going to be nobody left to run his machines if he just lets us die.
Yeah, is it about?
He's going to wipe out his own base, and who's going to vote for him?
Yeah, that's true.
He tells him to come to rallies. I think he's trying to kill his own brown shirt, so to speak.
The different governments around the world have responded in different ways. South Korea has responded different to China, has responded different to Japan, has responded different to Singapore, has responded different to Iran, has responded different to Italy. It seems like a cascading series of events. Africa looks like it's about to head for an absolute horrific time. India also looking like it's going to head for a horrific time as well. The Indian stock market, just watching now, it's absolutely in free fall. It was one of the best stock markets in the SARC regions. It's tanked. So do you think this is just incompetence on your federal level, or because you are a hyper advanced
incompetence, corruption, and a very long game, and we need to look to the countries that didn't screw it up. We're following Italy's path.
Yes, I think
or
so
Spain's
as well.
Path. We are not following the path of South Korea or what was it, Singapore?
Taiwan did a very good job.
Hong Kong caught it early, nipped it in the bud, let everybody go again, let somebody fly in, and it started over again.
Yep. Yeah, and South Korea only had one real case, one proper case.
Person. What's that? Not 3 number? What? No. Yeah. R not number. Yeah. How many days does it take? It describes the logarithmic curve. How many people you can give it to before you even know you're sick?
Yeah. There's different research from 14 days of no symptoms up to somewhere between 27 days of no symptoms. So they're still in the debate phase if it's 14 or 27, but it's somewhere in that bandwidth.
Given our total lack of testing, it's just madness to not have a lockdown right now. Go listen to Schmachtenberger. He makes a better case for this than I do.
Well, yeah, people can go to Schmachtenberger. The link is in the description when they finish watching this. Fantastic. What would it look? What would a good transhumanist look like?
A good transhumanist will. Wait a minute. I thought we were still on this page.
Yep. What would a good transhumanist look like?
I don't know. We need to ask that. I would like my data rights preserved, not to just lock up my data. If they never bring me out of popsicle mode. But do I even have cryopreservation rights? And what does that look like? And do my DNA rights extend to that too, so that maybe you find something nifty in my DNA, it can go to my fund to give me a reboot. Hey, maybe if my dad is earning money, it can go into my fund to give me a reboot. Something like that. That I can sequester parts of my data I don't want to share. It's like, oh my God, you're not going to know all my secrets. And then let the other parts kind of go in the commons. And if you make any commercial use out of it, you can put that fund in my reboot fund too. I can make money as a popsicle, say. If I've generated enough content here that I never got paid for on this side of it, that maybe someday, my images will, make enough money to give me a reboot. Or is a reboot a universal right?
Wow, these are really good.
Is it done on meritocracy? The order you reboot people? There's just so many questions we've not got our head around. I don't know, maybe the cryo communities did, but yeah. Anyway,
these are really, really great questions, and these are the sorts of great questions that need to be considered in universities across the world. The universities that we advocate for here on Detonation, these technology parks, etc. I think you're bringing up some absolutely fantastic points. Thank you, appreciate it.
I got another one. Okay, wedding and funerals are off during the pandemic. So, what does a funeral? Okay, say I get COVID and I'm dead within a month.
You won't, Alex. You won't.
No, I've been really careful. But say it did happen, or they just let me starve to death. I don't even weigh 100 pounds now. That could happen. But anyway, say I'm gone. What does a funeral look like these days? They just call it off and nail your picture to a tree. I mean, are we going to figure out how to do virtual funerals, per se? I imagine the industry already got scrambling to find some solutions to this.
It's a really good point. It's a really, really, really good point.
So that all that money that would have been blown on flowers in the room and all that goes towards virtualizing it, putting it in 2D and 3D and streaming it.
That's a really good point. Well done. I appreciate that as well.
And people could do things like this where they could, have a story time and each tell a little story, and not have to stand in front of a podium to do it. But.
Yeah, well, everything's going online now. The nature of work is also changing. People are working from home now. Luckily, I still can come to the studio, but I might have to abandon the studio soon. I'm not sure. But people are working from home. Funerals are changing. I think it was a Black Death, right? It was ring a rosy, a pocket full of posy, a tissue, we all fall down. I guess they didn't. I remember reading the history books. Those funerals weren't too fun, but now we're talking about virtual funerals. Very interesting stuff.
Weddings too.
Well, I can't confirm this completely. I can't say because I don't know if she would say yes or not, but I might have had to cancel my wedding there in the United States because of this thing. I can't say completely, but I would have come and seen you. I will come and see you once this is all over, and I'll invite you to my wedding. But I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about the US side of things and that. But I don't think I really want a virtual. I don't think I really want a virtual wedding. I think I want to come there to the good old USA to do that function.
Oh, I gotta say, I do like your mic better on this side. That thing's been jumping up and down.
Yeah. I worked out how to flip it. Thank you so much. I'm always trying to innovate on the show to try and make it better for everybody. And yeah. But funerals and weddings. But yeah, weddings is a fun topic. I guess before you're married or during the wedding, and then after that, it's all downhill, right? But but yeah, virtual weddings, very interesting. Everything's changing. You're right. This is the beginning of the tech boom. This is the beginning of the boom into a whole new way of thinking about work, funerals, weddings, births, deaths, everything. Cryopreservation.
I want to virtualize everything, especially since we're all stuck at home. We better roll this shit out fast before people get cabin fever. Okay. I mean, let's just make the Oculus Rift free if we want to see people keep their sanity. Okay?
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg, listen. Okay.
Ben Zion 2020, he's doing his virtual reality attempt, so good luck to you too, Ben Zion 2020, in your virtual reality attempt. I know you're a big fan of the show, Ben. You're watching the show. All right.
Let me finish. I'm not done with the VR.
Yep. Go on.
See, I wish I could join him in that. All I could do is stick that thing in the. No, I ain't doing that. Maybe I would, but a little bit. But what I would really like to done is to have done this in augmented reality, and I started this project maybe a couple years ago where I was going on about how I really want a motion suit. I want to track my dance movements because that's why I'm so popular amongst the kids in the bars here. Whatever good that does me, because. The way I dance, which is just I'll find out when you do. As I feel the music, it just kind of happens, right? But I would, a lot of people seem to find something healing in that. And especially at a time when everybody's losing their minds, I really want a suit. I want to go into VR with a suit. I want to go into the metaverse with this suit and share some loving around the world. Can I do it with an avatar face so they don't recognize me? But I want to do this. And as a part of this other, this project, Mind Moves, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I thought it would be really nice if we could all have the headgear, the EEG headgear, so we could explore what kind of mirror neurons we've got between the dancer, the band, and the crowd, because I know these things are lining up. I just can't explain it. All the energies at play here, and I would like to explore that. And I've never had the budget to do it, okay? But okay, maybe I will start that GoFundMe. Just starve and give me gear. So I want to starve and I have gear to do this. But it's just a lack of capital. And who knows? By the time, I've been delaying my estate. Let's keep mom alive. But even by the time that happens, I'll probably get robbed of it, right? I mean, just the way things are today, who knows if I will have it then. So, that if I just had a little seed capital, I could do a lot more. I could even properly take care of myself. Like, I need glasses, I need dental work, I need shoes. I need so much that zero people like me are not allowed to have in meritocracy. Doesn't matter how much I give. Doesn't matter how many people adore me. No. Money. And you've got to have money to have agency.
Yeah, it's unfair. It's unfair. I mean, the other thing I could suggest is start a corporation, just start an LLC or something on the side, and just borrow at this 0% rates, and you could just borrow $10 million at 0%, because you're gonna get COVID. Or not, you're not going to get it. But what I mean is, like,
I'm not interested in all those hoops and paperwork. If somebody with a business degree wants to help me find, you're not going to see me doing any of that. It doesn't matter how many brilliant ideas I have, unless I want to participate in that kind of world. Screw me.
Yeah.
Just put me in the C-suite and don't make me do fucking bookkeeping.
I hate bookkeeping as well. I'm on board with that as well. What's next? What do you want to talk about next? Did you still want to keep talking about VR?
Well, let's get back to bookkeeping. Why? We've got bookkeeping because we've got taxes. And with blockchains, we could, perform the normal fiduciary transactions without the need for that fucking building behind you, and a lot of the intermediaries that just assets strip us through these processes.
You said a good word there, intermediaries, meaning people in between, and that's how a lot of this. That's why this system is set up, because there's
all the people that are made to collect money for that thing behind you there.
Yeah, but there's producers and consumers, and a lot of stops in between of those two mechanisms, and that's why the system is set up in the way it is, in order to maximize the amount of intermediaries. You've mentioned a good word there, and they make it confusing. They make it they obfuscate. It's obfuscation on purpose, and it's all laid bare right now. You can't print money. You can't use fiscal stimulus. You can't do a lot of the little tricks they're trying to do when you're trying to fight a virus. You see what I mean? This is a completely whacked system. When you're trying to talk about compassionate care and health care
why
for
do
millions
we
of
let
people.
The stock market continue to gamble with the welfare of the world and the banks, and we bail them out and nothing trickles down?
No, and you don't send any of them to jail either. And this is one of the biggest objections I have with the presidents. A lot of presidents, but Obama in particular, because he didn't jail anybody. He didn't jail anybody except for what? Like Bernie Madoff or some other dork. And he let them all get away, and they all got bigger. And he didn't break them up. He didn't break the banks up, and they all got bigger to fail. And now it's debt nation. It's all hanging on the edge. It's debt nation for a reason. That's why I called it debt nation, because this is what it is. Everything's been exposed. All right. Well, I totally agree with you. Intermediaries, but blockchain technology is a solution.
It's a cabal that is vampiristic on the whole species.
and Mother Earth and Mother Gaia.
Mm-hmm.
I like the meme you shared, by the way. Is it? I think
that simple, and we let these people gamble.
I think you
with
shared
our lives every day through stampeding the stock market and such. Why did we even have any gambling in our economies at all?
Yeah. This is a really good point. I think you shared a meme that I really enjoyed, and it was something like, Mother Gaia has done this to us to send us all to our rooms so we can think about what we've done to the earth. And I really enjoyed that. I thank you so much for sharing that. I thought that was hilarious in the fact that it's really true. Put all the other stuff aside for a minute. This is, I was calling it on this show. I'm saying that this is a time of great reflection. I don't know if you agree with that, but this is a time of great reflection, and people are really starting to think seriously about how our systems are built, how our world is run, how all of the, and how we got to this point where we're so exposed and so left on the precipice, and how can we wind our way back from this institution, from this point. And it's crazy. It's just crazy. But I really enjoy that meme, and I thank you very much for sharing that meme. I thought it was great.
Oh yeah, Mother Earth has sent us to our rooms, and if we are reflective in there, are we stuck in our own echo chambers? Are we spinning up our own wheels, or are we taking a more honest look at things? And how can we take an honest look if we're believing mainstream media and back to them, censoring science, and it's just crazy. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. Yeah, it is crazy.
Okay. I didn't quite answer you, did I? How do we get back?
Well, what did you want to talk about next? We've got your notes here. Supporting many of Gennadi's thoughts on COVID-19 is the next note you have for me. So, we did the USTP release with the emergency proposals. You agree with those proposals?
Great stuff, and I'm so supportive of just the whole thing, just about exactly as it's written. I love you guys. You, Gennadi, Ben, but we don't always see things precisely eye to eye. Okay.
That's good. And, I appreciate that. No one should see eye to eye. That's healthy debate. Continue. Sorry, I cut you off.
I don't know. I feel like there's been some Darwinistic views on the homeless, and many of them are in that predicament through no fault of their own, maybe a mental illness. And they medicate it as best they can. They self-medicate. And just because we don't like the company of winos or whatever they're into, doesn't mean they're disposable people. That if their basic needs were met, they wouldn't need to medicate as much. If we help them get at the root of what sent them there. Okay. But I don't think we can make it conditional that they get housing or not based upon their substance abuse. Maybe you just want to give the ones that got clean a home free and clear. You could have separate communities. But you don't just fence in the hobos and not do better for them.
I'm just trying to find the actual proposal. So this is Section E8K, mandatory free housing for the homeless. It says here, in recognition that unsanitary living conditions are the primary cause of spread of COVID-19 and other infectious diseases, the United States Transhumanist-Party supports the immediate mandatory housing of the homeless, achieved by means of rapid construction of tiny homes, including 3D printed homes, without regard for building zones or zoning regulations, which must be immediately waived to allow such construction. Every homeless individual discovered by local authorities would be required to move to a separate small home free of monetary cost and would be granted free conditional title to the home. The conditions
Conditional.
of
I was good up until conditional. Okay, you can let the clean ones have a title, but you cannot leave the ones that cannot meet that condition to die.
the conditions of the title would be that the new homeowner would be obligated to perform litter cleanup and other community service duties for a specific time period per day under supervision unless he or she is able to find different or better housing immediately. The new housing communities would be subject to actively enforce covenants and restrictions prohibiting alcohol and recreational drugs. Alcohol and drugs would also be prohibited within these communities, which will have a side benefit of transitioning the homeless towards meaningful social participation and useful work. So, what's the issue with that, Alexander Black?
I think that's the way. That is still treating them like they're on a prison bus to some extent. You pick up trash. You be a good boy. You don't get into substances, and we'll let you have a marginal existence.
But isn't this existence better for society and better for them? And I think the picking up of the rubbish, the litter, as you call it in the United States, isn't that just part of this process of giving them something to do, some activity to do?
But limiting it to that, when you may have a programmer there that met on hard times, and you're asking them to pick up trash.
I wouldn't assume
contributions.
I wouldn't assume that this would be a 24-hour-a-day policy. Kind of like, I think this would be something like you pick up rubbish and you pick up trash, as you call it in the United States, or litter. And and in the other times you would go to a community shed and you would learn carpentry, or you would learn to row your boat, or you would learn some other activity. You would do sport, or you would go to the gym, or you would do community housing, or you would do, I don't know what you call it in the United States, but you would do TAFE. So you would learn an art or a skill or a craft. But also, you would pick up rubbish to be a useful member of the society. I don't think it just means you would limit just these people to become litter slaves. I don't think that's what this implies. But this is one of the functions.
Some don't have better skills. Fine, you can work on their skills while they're picking up trash. And why don't we have the robots pick up the trash and let everybody's job retrain on their VR? Okay, I just don't like people seen as disposable, and will do the barest things for them and treat them like they just got off a prison bus.
Yeah, right? Well, the homeless are definitely not in trouble. They have been marginalized by society. They've been let down by society. They've been pushed to the edges. This is not. Yes. Then it shouldn't be punished for being homeless. This is a huge mistake across the world. And, thank goodness we've had a rapid increase in wealth across the world, and organizations like the World Bank, which have tried to alleviate poverty and extreme poverty, which has done an actual very good job in alleviating extreme poverty. But even in the United States, even here in Australia, even here in many countries, especially industrialized countries, they don't seem to have a solution to mass homelessness, especially in some of these larger cities. And this is a way of eliminating the COVID-19 infectious disease rate and flattening that curve, as well as giving them an occupation and some community service duties to say thank you for the tiny home.
I know. I'm not just trying to give them something for nothing, but I'm just trying to see them not marginalized more. I'm trying to see them not just fenced in hobo camps and left to die. I'd say even a FEMA camp would be better than that. And I don't like that idea either. But where were we? I just don't see how we can say longevity rights for all, but screw you if you can't afford housing. You've got to jump through all these hoops, or you're still screwed. I've known a few hobos wander to the bar or whatever, and they would not set foot in a Salvation Army because they have to give up their medication if they do. and that's too hard. They're wine or whatever the hell they're doing. That they would just, if Salvation Army had such a great deal, it would be full. It would, all these people would go there. It's not a palatable thing for them. All right. Where did I get? Might I mention that of all the people that are housed or in apartments or whatever, by the time you get out of this quarantine, some of you are going to be alcoholics. So let's not be too quick to, come down on the alcoholics, because most of you have never seen hard times, and you got a home. You just are going stir crazy in your own space there, maybe, but you just don't know how these people have lived. Okay, so I'm saying that I expect to see all substance issues to increase while we're in the quarantine.
Yeah, and that's disturbing because especially in the United States, because there's already a huge mental health issue in the United States across the population, and compound that with the fact that they're heavily armed. That is a disturbing correlation.
Guns and booze. That's so America. Every holiday involves guns and booze or firecrackers. Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I live in Australia, so so we're disarmed slaves here. At least you have the ability to fight your federal government if you want. I mean, we're disarmed slaves.
We hear that's coming too.
Depends how you see it, really, isn't it?
Well, we could get our door-to-door attentions here. Now that we're pinned down. Yep. Oh, and by the way, how do you do testing during quarantine? Even if all the tests just magically appear. Is the National Guard going to have to go door to door and ensure compliance for everyone?
I mean, who knows? Who knows? That's up to the federal government or the state government, right?
We're screwed.
Yeah. You stay safe, Alex. So what's next you wanted to talk about? Is that it? I haven't got any more notes. We can do better.
Let me see if I got through this last page of notes. Excuse me.
Yeah.
No, I just do think it's, and I'm going to hit on this point again. I think it's a bit of hypocrisy for us to say longevity for all, but only if you're this kind of person, right? Sorry, Gennady, just saying.
Well, Chairman Gennady he's always ready to talk to USTP members and other members too. I'm sure if you send him a message, we can talk about that. And if you've got something important to say, send him a message, send me a message, and I can organize a show and a response to any complaints or queries that you or the USTP people have along these lines, and we can get Gennady on to answer and respond to this. I think longevity is extremely important across the board.
I really do support him so much, but I'm just tangling on this one point.
Yep.
And we got to do better than just fencing in hobos if you can catch them all. Actually, what I
don't think that's the intention. I don't think
what
that's
I suggest is you'll get us all to get tested. Providing we have tests. If you bring around these like credit cards with a credit on it, whatever our helicopter check is, like $1,000, everyone will get tested. Yep, bait us, and we'll do it because I need the money bad, and I want to be tested too.
Yeah, well, yeah, we all do, because we all know people who we don't want to be that person that carried it. And no, that's frightening, and that's disturbing, and everybody's in that same boat. And it doesn't matter who you are. We're watching politicians across the board, countries, national leaders who are getting this thing, celebrities, everything. Tom Hanks got it, right? So no, we're all in this boat together. You know that song, "We're all in this together. We're all in this together." You know, it's not fun.
All boats, lift all boats, or we all perish.
Yeah, and this is the time for calm heads and cool ideas, and policies that impact people in a positive way. Yeah, this is not the time for hot heads.
No time for blame. We'll figure this out later. Let's not just make this about who to blame for this. Let's just fix it. Let's recognize bad policy when we see it, like, oh, we don't need that 15 days. We need to make money more. That's just insane. It just sounds like they're trying to call us. That the federal government is too stupid to understand logarithmic curves. But it goes that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Inverted. Yeah. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're trying a national policy here of flattening the curve. I think the government has given up along the lines of stopping it completely. I mean, we've closed all our borders. We've actually even mainly closed our state and territory borders. So, for example, I live in a place called Victoria. There's Tasmania down below me. There's South Australia over there. There's Queensland there, and there's the Northern Territory there. If I want to go almost any direction now, this is not quite here yet with Victoria. It's an odd one out, but it's going to be in the next few hours anyway. If I want to go any direction, I'm going to have to self-quarantine interstate for 14 days. They're going to lock me in a little cage and make me self-quarantine. That's the state rules.
Stay put. We don't need you. We don't need you in quarantine for 14
days. No. I'm just saying if I was going to travel anywhere. So, for example, I have parents that are older, obviously. They're somewhere else in another state. And I would have to self-quarantine for 14 days and take the test and do all that sort of stuff, if the state will even let me in anymore, which is debatable because they might not even let people in anymore. That's on So Australia is taking this approach. I think we're going along the flattening the curve approach, as opposed to.
I'm glad you got to get over there lately before this hit. I'm glad you got to get over there. You were over there when the fires were still on.
Yeah, it was. The fires were awful as well. We've taken a triple hit. We've taken a hit with the fires. Well, a quadruple hit. We've taken a hit with the fires, which is climate change, which we all knew was going to happen, and it's going to be worse. We've taken floods. We just had a whole bunch of floods. Towns have been washed away. Then we've had COVID-19, and now the stock market is tanking, and all our business is shut. Australia is going down the tube. We're disappearing off Earth. We're going to cut ourselves out and fly to Mars because we're finished.
All value is still here except the people that died. And it's that place behind you that lets them all gamify it so that the money just, you owe the money, it's in our pockets, pay us or die.
Yep, that is the game, isn't it? And it's disturbing, and it's cruel, and it's I mean, that's why I put this. That's why I put this behind me. And America fought. You know, historically speaking, this is all I'm going to say about this. But historically speaking, America fought 2 civil wars to get rid of this building behind me.
And it kept coming back, and it happened in Russia. Remember, a few other places. Tried to fight off the bank and lost.
Well, yeah, that's what happens. Parasitical entities, when they want to attach themselves to a host, they'll find a way. They'll get in your ear. They'll get under your toe. They'll do whatever they can. They'll go into any orifice or something. You know, that's what parasites do. The parasites can't survive without a healthy host. So,
it looks like the Chinese blockchain currency is
going online,
about to become the world reserve currency.
Goodbye, dollar.
All these economic wars and all these imperialistic raids on other countries, and This is why we can't have nice things.
Well, Alex, you're right. This is why we can't
I
have
want
nice
my
things.
cargo called. I want the National Guard to drop some food in the driveway because I'm that fucked if I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, they have to. The national government has to come up with a solution to look after its people. This is right. This is your right as a citizen. You should. The government works for you. That's what it's all about in America. That's what it's all about in America, right? Isn't that what it was set up for? Government for the people, by the people.
Fuck the people. That's where they ended now.
Are you telling me they lied, or that it's not like that anymore?
There's the ideology, and then there's how it really happens.
Yeah, it's got hijacked. And who do you think, by the way, let's talk about politics for a sec. Do you think Joe Biden is running away with it on the Democratic side? You don't care? It doesn't matter? It's irrelevant?
No, I'm just saying what's our choice? 2 diddlers? Fuck that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we obviously offer the third option here, which is the United States Transhumanist-Party, and we've been talking about all the other things, free and equal debates, Christina Tubin. I mean, I'm trying. I'm sitting here, Alex. I'm trying my best. I've got the suit on. I've got the tie. I'm trying. If people don't want to listen, that's really their fault, because at the end of the day, not you. I mean, obviously, people like you and good people like you.
Take the Oval Office instead, in some kind of order. Ben, of course, Ben Zion.
Yeah. Yeah, of course we support Ben Zion.
We know that we're not there yet. We know that we're just influencing other parties at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. But barring that, and Zoltan dropped out, and Yang would have been good. I could have voted for Bernie. I could have voted for Tulsi. But and anybody progressive, I just sweep them off the table. They're not fully vetted by the duopoly. Monopoly. Just
now you're left with Trump and Joe, which is
diddlers. That's all we got left is diddlers. Kitty diddlers. That's all we got. We got to choose between kitty diddlers. Okay, fine.
It's bad, Alex. It's bad. The scenario is bad, and it's really bad for the average American. It's bad for the average American worker. And they keep cutting the education budgets, and they keep cutting education, and so people become stupider and stupider, and so the impact, it compounds. I mean, it compounds on itself. So.
Well, just Epstein didn't kill himself. And if he were still testifying, wherever he is, I'm not even sure he's dead. But if he were still testifying, neither one of these candidates would be nominated. Epstein didn't kill himself.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's up for debate. I mean, Chairman Gennady says that he is he's finished, so I'm not sure.
Which one? Who's finished?
Epstein.
Think he's really dead?
Well, what I think is irrelevant.
Yes, whether he's on his little island or whether he's in Guantanamo, he's obviously silenced, or even if he's dead. Nothing more forthcoming until somebody cracks that box open. That's even possible to now.
What do you think the future of voluntarism is in the United States? Do you think it's finished as a project, or do you see this crisis as a rejuvenation of voluntarism? Do you think communities will start to come together and learn about each other more and more as localization takes effect?
Yes, but we can also expect some psyops divisiveness in our midst, if we're already getting hobbled on Facebook, then I just expect more dirty tricks.
It's kind of like, when Occupy Wall Street, which I support strongly, and I support the next Occupy Wall Street that comes up, which will have to come up, and they will have to rise up, and they will have to protest loudly, strongly, and in a coordinated effort against the banker occupation, GIABO, global insurrection against banker occupation. But in the meantime, it's kind of like when they launched Occupy Wall Street, and documents later reported that, the FBI or the CIA would plant mischief makers in the middle of the crowd to stir up trouble, to delegitimize their campaign, which is actually a campaign of real grievances. These are people who really lost their homes to mortgage and derivative fraud in going from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the American Housing Association from 2003 to 2007. These people worked hard for their houses, and there was no fault of their own that the banking system collapsed and they had their assets torn up. And so they had a real legitimate reason to be in Occupy Wall Street, but they were delegitimized by some of these agencies. Do you see the same thing happening, and how can we protect ourselves if that comes up?
We need a better community immune system to this. That we need to better identify the sociopaths and exclude them from any conversations that they're sabotaging. Now, sometimes it's not that easy with these people. I know some very bright people, name that can speak very well on AI and not that well on social issues. That can be total trolls, arrogant assholes, but you got to listen to them sometimes. So it's going to take a bit of discernment to keep them from sabotaging, but knowing when you have to listen to them.
Yeah.
But transhumanist party is a very big thing anyway. We learn to ignore each other's differences, red, blue, libertarian, green, that we all have some shared interest. And we're ready to just work on those terms and just not nitpick the differences. But these bad actors will come in and nitpick the differences to death to destroy the collaboration.
Yeah.
And we need better resilience against this to put them a bit out of our midst before they've done that much damage.
Yeah, Alex, you've mentioned a lot of good things in here. We have to strengthen the societal immune system. I love that. Using technology such as AI, this is another good thing. And the United States Transhumanist Party, again, it's hard to wrangle. Mine and Ben's ideas are different to each other, and so is Chairman Gennadi's, and so are yours, and so is all these people. But again, we're all fall under the pillar of a strong and stable and prosperous society, and how do we get to there using technology and transhumanist values and the other things. And it pulls people together from all these different communities, and it's beautiful to see. Does it always work? No. But does it promote positive conversation and positive change? Absolutely. The impact that we've had as a party on people in that room at the free and equal debate, the impact that Ben Zion made on that room. He's talking about things these people never have heard of. They're still arguing about 19th, 18th, 17th century ideas about left and right values and all this, blah, blah, blah. And here we are talking about the positive future for humanity that we can get as a great equalizer, not because we violate some sort of economic or physics laws or physical laws, but because we just utilize the existing tools and resources in front of us and utilize them to push society in a more equitable way. It's not about left and right, redistribution, my theory, your theory. These are all important conversations. These are all important points. And, I sit here and I try and cover everything I can to try and help people navigate and be in the best position they can for different circumstances. I called this crash. I didn't know it was going to be a pandemic. I tried to help people with that, with that possibility. Whether they listen or not, again, it's irrelevant now. But again, you have done a fantastic job coming on this show, telling people about AI. That's the next thing. When we hit these points, Alex, everyone will say, "Oh, where did this come from? No, I didn't know one talk about this." Alex was talking about it in 2017 on Detonation. Ben Zion was talking about it over and over and over again. So. You're completely right. We have to build up a better immune system, societal immune system, and that starts with the United States Transhumanist-Party and the ideas that are embedded in there. Before our voice flutters off the internet into a void, we have to get this point across. Beautiful.
I like to say, we don't care what your other party is, as long as you can work with us. And I don't have the hubris to say we have a chance of winning. But we won't unless we work together and ignore these differences and find our common ground. That unless we can work across these divides, no one little camp, my little camp, your little camp, none of these little camps can win. We have a concerted effort that strives for good outcomes for everyone and doesn't seek greedy advantages.
Absolutely. I'll talk to Chairman Gennady about your concerns with the homeless idea. I'll see what he says. I'll get a response for you ASAP on that. I don't think it is as he means it as what you say, but we'll get clarification for you on that as well. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we wrapped up the show, Alex? So you be safe and you be happy and safe, and you stay social distancing and everything. We love you. But is there anything else you wanted to say before we end the show?
Please watch Daniel Schmachtenberger's video. We're going to link below. And please check out all the open source COVID-19 projects. You could be making masks. We're going to need them.
Yes.
You could be making masks. You could be 3D printing medical gear. There's a variety. You could be we're doing that game to find new proteins, fold it to help fight this disease. You find what you can do with your talent sets, and if you have any medical background, I don't care if you just were really good at biology in high school. Educate yourself on this and find some way you can help. Hospitals are going to need a lot of help.
Yeah, it's tragic.
The supply chains are going to need a lot of help. Not everybody's going to be working on this directly. You might just help with your food pantry, but you stay safe with your mask, and your gloves, and your safe procedures. Okay, but there's a lot you can do from home to help curate good information. That's a lot of what I do. I'll find a good link and spread it to some of these groups we're linking below. Find out what you can do. Maybe ask your local healthcare system what they're running low on and how the community can help fill their needs through labor, material, whatever. Fuck knows if we will win, but we won't if we don't try.
Fighting words. Totally agree. And drugs as well is what we're trying to discover as well. So we can anything to release the world from this torture, this torture chamber that is COVID-19. Totally agree. This is horrible. It's inflicting mass pain, and it's going to be even worse on the other side when everything unfreezes. So this is just please listen to Alex. Please do what you can within reason. Absolutely. All right, thanks, Alex. That was an emotional. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. We need to restore our resilient as individuals, which is going to be a challenge right now, but we have to do it, and as a society. And we can't go into this with our confirmation biases, and we cannot be right by taking past knowledge into a novel situation, not ideologies in particular. You can't just wish this away like Trump seems to be thinking he can. Well, we'll just tell it to go away. Don't lie to yourselves, people. Educate yourselves and do what you can.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You can't spend billions of dollars just to wish a virus away. One is printing money or fiscal stimulus or something like that. The other is a biological disease, and this is where the system is just not matching the reality that faces it. You know, in a hurricane or in a tornado, it makes sense because you pay money, you just build stuff. I mean, you can't replace lives if people lose their lives in one of those events, of course. But when you destroy some buildings, you rebuild those buildings. In this case, you can't rebuild people, and you can't just defeat a virus just because you want to, because you have money or something. It takes brain, ingenuity, effort, computing power, and the resources of humanity in order to do it. Alex,
you have to care more about humanity than that building behind you.
Yes, absolutely. This building behind me. If you don't know what it is, do some research, because you probably would need to know soon what this building behind you is doing. All right. Well, Alex, thanks for that emotional.
Ruling us. That's what it's doing. It's ruling us.
Yep.
Hey, bosses, stop it.
Yep. Cattle, this farming, human farming. I mean, one of my very first episodes explained to the people about human farming, the domestication of plants, animals, and humans. And humans don't really realize it because they have an elevated sense of self and ideas and ideologies that promote their own consciousness above the collective, and they misplace themselves in time and space. Hooray! And then those who are smarter or more powerful, not smarter necessarily, but more powerful, can then take advantage of that good word, hubris. And also that innocence in a way. These people will end up like Prometheus or something. Don't worry.
How do you get rid of psychopaths when they've got all the power?
Yeah, yep.
How?
Psychopaths.
What are you trying to kill us?
Well, Alex, this has been an emotional one, and now I need you to look after yourself. And if there's anything I can do, tell me. And also, I'll get on to Chairman Gennady to talk about that issue that we have with the homeless idea. I'm sure Chairman Gennady will be very enthusiastic to respond to you in full. Fantastic. And anything else we can do, you just remind us as well. Thank you so much. I have to thank Chairman Gennady for keeping this show on life support, and all the other Patreons who are making small donations to keep us running in this this hard time. Since I lost my job. So thank you all. And we're working on getting Denora Delphine on here as well to try and support her and her Immortalist magazine, which is doing great content, fantastic content out there. Denora Delphine is doing really, really good work. So I really want to thank Denora as well. And thank you, Alex. You stay safe. Look after your loved ones. Look after your family. Keep talking to me.
I trust Gennady to give us a better idea.
He's a genius. The guy is an absolute genius. He's a genius. So no, I totally agree with you. He's a genius. He's a smart guy, and we support him. We support the United States Transhumanist-Party, and it's times like this in the deep dark days that you really wish the United States Transhumanist-Party had a little bit more sway, a little bit more influence. And I am doing everything I can to try and keep the flame alive. And I thank you, Alex, for all your support with interviews and sharing the episodes and watching the episodes and telling people about Debt Nation in order to bring it up to, we're almost up to 500 people now. I feel like a king because each
500 more.
each one of those subscribers is hard earned. They're intelligent and they're switched on, and so those are the people that we want. Not just this mass. A lot of people say, why don't you just mass consumer model it? Why don't you do clickbait titles and all this stuff? No, because we want to really get the real quality people so that we can generate the real quality solutions. That really matter to the world. And I want to continue doing this as long as I can, but we can make an impact in life.
Yeah. Okay. God, the camera's backwards. I love you guys. You're great.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Alex. Thanks everybody for watching Detonation, and we will see you again next time. I'm Steel Archer, and that's Detonation with Alexandra Black, the superstar. Look after yourself.
Oh.